I'm Tony Ruiz, contributing editor at Gold Derby, here with Anthony Carrigan, two-time Emmy nominee now for his role as NoHo Hank in Barry. And yeah, Anthony, we were talking, just quickly before, is that, when a show's been off as long as Barry has because of all this obvious circumstances, you wonder when it comes back, is it going to hit with the same kind of fervor that the first two seasons had? And it clearly has, both critically and at the Emmys. So what does that kind of mean to you?
Well, it was, yeah, obviously this season was a long time in the making. But we, I think we ended up using that time. And we all know, we had a lot of time on our hands. And I think the writers and creators really kind of utilized that to make it the best kind of thing possible. So we did have a lot to kind of, tinker with in the downtime, but ultimately I think they were able to kind of sew certain things up, connect things to other seasons, and ultimately kind of, yeah, make it a lot more nuanced. So we came back with a vengeance, quite literally.
That's such perfect phrasing for that. When you're coming, so when you come back to Hank, does it fit like an old glove, or was it difficult to get back into it?
The only thing that was difficult really to get back into was the kind of anticipation of it. Those questions of well, do I still have it? Am I still, is it going to work still? And so you kind of, you can psych yourself out a little bit, but then once you get back on set and you realize like, oh, I know what this place is, and you just have so much freedom, and it's such a playground that they create, you're able to just, yeah, get right back into it. So, I think I had to kind of like unlearn some of the stuff that I'd kind of thought I had to do, and really just, yeah, let go and let Hank,
Let go and let Hank. And yeah, it's interesting because I think in a weird way, Hank as it almost unexpectedly become kind of the conscience of the series. He's like this totally like good-hearted individual that I think, yes, he's still a Chechen mob boss, but there's this genuine, like, he almost is Barry's conscience.
Yeah, that's it. I've never thought about it that way, but it's true. I mean, Hank does have a certain optimism and buoyancy that I think is not as present in the other characters. There's a real kind of darkness and narcissism in each of these characters, and I think Hank's aloofness kind of keeps that, just puts him in a different category. But that being said, I mean, I think you see with each of these characters this season, whatever Barry is cursed with has kind of found its way into each of the characters' lives. And just seeing that kind of, I don't know, venom like move outward has been a really cool thing, for me to see just as a viewer.
So let's go through some of the kind of the high points of the season, which for me, you hit the ground running with the interrogation scene in the first episode. And I don't know what was more fun, the interrogation or Hank's excitement about the interrogation.
Well, as an actor, the interrogation scene was just so much fun because it had so many reversals in it, and moments of feeling completely confident to having the wind knocked out of you, and that just as an actor was a joy to be able to play. But yeah, I mean, Hank clearly was like just had such a perfect idea of how it was going to go, and it was like he was going for like a job interview essentially. They clearly, he and his mob buddies had clearly talked about it, and yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big deal for him.
So much of this season has been about Hank's relationship with Cristobal, and hits these comic notes, but it also hits these really kind of deep emotional notes. Was that always there in the scripts?
Yeah, that was something that was very intentional. I think they wanted to build upon what was really kind of already alluded to, right? You know, you look back in the previous seasons, and you can see these kind of, you know, these little breadcrumbs of Hank and Cristobal's connection with each other. You know, even in that first the first phone call where Cristobal calls Goron and you know, explains to him, you know, like you know, an aspect of the Four Agreements, and Hank immediately lights up and he's like, that's such a great book. You know, immediately there's a connection there. And I think this kind of exploration of their relationship is just the next logical step in that, and finding the real emotional connection and this kind of beautiful part of where they are in their relationship was just great. It was so much fun to play with.
I also love the fact that Hank is giving relationship advice to Barry.
Yes.
It's
yeah. Totally. I know. And he's kind of spot on too. That's the funny thing, is he's really not wrong. He really kind of understands Barry in a very deep way. And it's funny, that scene in particular, we had talked about it as if, like, you know, as if your ex shows up, you know, like really needing help, and you're sitting there with your current partner, and your current partner is like, I don't like the fact that they're here right now, and you know, like, he killed all my buddies. But yeah, but that scene was hilarious, and yeah, so much fun.
I'm curious, you know, it seems like, just in talking to other people from the show, that there's a real kind of freedom in terms of how you guys work, and in terms of, like, improvisation is a part of it. How much of that do you enjoy the improv portion of it?
I do. I really enjoy the improv aspect of it. I mean, you know, the scripts are so wonderful, and they're so rich, and there's such thought put into them. And then, you know, but then you kind of feel it out on the day, and you get a couple of takes of what's in the script, and then you allow yourself to go there. And it's both a very exciting process and also kind of terrifying too, because you're essentially jumping without a net. You don't know what's going to come out of your mouth next, or what's going to, you know, what Bill is going to say, and you really just have to be on your toes and kind of swim through the void until something pops up. So it's nerve-wracking, but it's really wonderful, and it can lead to the best stuff.
So, speaking of the best stuff, I want to talk about the finale, because that whole sequence of, you know, the cell and listening to the guy getting basically, like, mauled in the next.
Yeah.
Take me through the filming of that, because I feel like so much of that depends on your reaction to what you're hearing.
Yeah, it was a challenge, but ultimately was a really rewarding experience to know what's happening, obviously, to have a very intricate sequence of events, and then the technical aspect of actually shooting it and letting it unfold as an actor. So what was interesting, first of all, is that we actually shot the second part of it first. So the part where he emerges into this palatial space in this hallway, and he still has no idea what's going on, and he's seeing this dancer all the way down in the other room. It's very surreal, right? So we shot that first, and then we shot the kind of dungeon part the next day. And so I think, you know, you have to know exactly where your character gets to in that part, and then work backwards. But the actual process of the kind of the mauling on the other side of the wall, I got to hear what the actors did on, you know, when it was facing the wall and it was their turn to kind of, you know, give their performance. And then when it was my turn, when it was on me and I was, you know, handcuffed to the radiator, I just had Bill next to me talking me through each thing, each mark of the sequence. And I was, you know, just letting Hank see what was going on or imagine it. And yeah, it was challenging. It was exhausting. I definitely slept well that night.
But you're also, you know, it leads from that into the scene where Hank rescues Cristobal, and there's so much going on in Hank's face. There's almost no dialogue, and yet there's so much going on. What is Hank thinking in those moments when he sees Cristobal there?
I think that his whole system has just been flooded with absolute terror, and then also, you know, knowing that he was responsible for the death of you know, his kind of fellow Chechens. I think there's a huge amount of shame that he messed up so badly. But when he sees Cristobal, I think it's all landed on him, this whole thing of what he's just experienced. And Hank, you know, this was never meant to be an action sequence of, you know, saving the day and being the hero. This was a sequence of someone who's deeply terrified of what's happening, who really thinks that he's going to die, and ultimately of this kind of pure moment of connection and seeing the man that he loves. And there's a lot going on. You know, but it was yeah, just a real joy to you know, attempt to play all of it.
So, you know, you've got your second Emmy nomination now, and does the second one mean something different than the first one?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's just an honor. It's a real honor, and I'm so grateful that audiences and you know, viewers and the voters have gone along on the ride with us, and you know, just haven't forgotten about our little show, and because we really have put so much of ourselves into it, and we care about the show so deeply, and the fact that we're getting this recognition is it's the coolest, and we're incredibly grateful and surprised as well. And you know, you never know what people are going to think, and we took a big swing this season, and I'm happy that it's paid off for people.
So in terms of Emmy submissions, which episode have you decided to submit?
So it was the process, because from the beginning of the season until the end of the season, tonally, it's a very huge shift, right? And I thought, you know, well, okay, do I go with something that's, you know, really that has both comedy and darkness? And ultimately, I kind of went with the first episode, because I really loved working on the interrogation scene. I loved the scene that I had with Bill, where, you know, that kind of forgiveness is something that has to be earned. I feel like those are things that just kind of encompass, you know, a lot of what the season's about. And so that was ultimately why I made the decision to do that.
You know, it's funny because this particular season, I think even more than previous seasons, you know, the characters are kind of, you know, separated in a way, kind of in their own kind of bubbles. Do you, just as an actor, are there people from the cast that you haven't worked with yet or would like to work more with?
Oh, I want to work with all of them. all the time. I can't wait. In fact, I mean, there's a lot that I don't know about season 4, in terms of whose paths might cross. And I'm just really excited because, yeah, so far we've all been kind of compartmentalized. We've all been in our own little orbit. And honestly, in these storylines that in no way should make sense, yet they do. And so the idea of these characters colliding in a certain way is just so exciting. And I'm kind of baffled as to exactly how it would work out. So yeah, I'm just cautiously optimistic as to how how it will all play out.
Well, Anthony, congratulations. I'm a huge fan of the show, and I think this was its best season yet. Everybody go to goldderby.com, make your predictions for the Emmys, and stay tuned for interviews with more nominees throughout the coming season. Anthony Carrigan from Barry, a great pleasure to see you again. Thank you so much.
Great talking with you, and thank you so much.